Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute. Ready? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, before we do this, I just want to say something about the redevelopment. The committee is just a committee. Everything has to come in front of the council. So just a little sidebar conversation. The council has to approve everything. Right. So I'll let Mr. Bach at least elaborate a little bit what happened tonight and explain that, that it really, there's no decisions that are made unless it comes to this body. So at this point, roll call, please.
Mayor Caucus.
Here.
Mrs. Passio. Here. Mr. Ranieri.
Here.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Here.
Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly. Here. Mr. Root.
Here.
Mr. Long. Oh, there you are. I knew. Let's see, Mr. Bach.
Yes.
And Mr. Diori.
Here.
And Mr. Wozel, please.
And Mr. Roseland.
Okay, public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on January 3rd, 2019, and 2, emailed to the retrospect and courier post on January 3rd, 2019. The first order of business we have tonight is a public hearing. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. This is for the bond ordinance 1908. If anyone from the public would like to come up, please state your name and address. Seeing no one? Oh, this is about the bond ordinance. Do you want to?
No.
Yeah, there's a public hearing, but this is, what do you call it, a public session, but this is just for the ordinance. Would someone like to, seeing no one from the public, would someone like to close the public portion?
I'll make a motion to close the public portion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Neri, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public portion is closed. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt on second and final reading and advertise according to law.
Okay, motion by Ms. Kelly. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Okay, the ordinance is adopted. Just to let you know what that ordinance was, is the borough was borrowing $497,000 to fix roads, stormwater pipes, things of that nature. We have bond ordinance 1909. It's a bond ordinance for various utility improvements for $285,000. This is for the sewer department, those type of items. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Does anyone wish to speak about this ordinance? Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close the public portion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Ms. Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
The public portion is closed. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt on second and final reading and advertise according to law.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Mr. Ranieri. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
All right, the ordinance is adopted. Resolution 1982 is a resolution regarding employment. This is a would someone like to make a motion on this resolution?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, the motion is carried. Resolution 1983 is a resolution amending committees of council. Would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion. I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Root, second by Mr. Farrell. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly, excuse me. Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Okay, that resolution is adopted. Resolution 1984. It's a resolution authorizing a salary increase. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Kelly. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
Okay, the resolution is adopted, so that's the business. So now we'll go on to our normal caucus agenda. Public hearing on ordinance 1910, is that the one for the garages?
Yeah, that's the one for the streets. We haven't done the garage one yet.
Oh, that's the street one?
That's the street, remember the street opening one, that there were suggestions?
Okay, to change the curb to curb or something like that?
That'll be on the next meeting.
Okay, so that'll be on the next meeting. A resolution authorizing property maintenance liens. Is there quite a few of those, or?
Yeah, I have a whole series of them.
Well, that's good. Chapter 159 for the recycling grant award, that'll be on there. That just adds it to the 2019 budget. GW white, blue collar employment agreements, do you believe that'll be ready?
Well, the white collar's done.
Yeah, that one I have here.
There will be, what's that?
I actually have it signed by the
Right.
the principals, yeah.
Complete. So we can do that. I would rather have the resolution that I draft next week to do that rather than do it business at next.
Oh, yeah, we're not gonna do it tonight. I'd like council to get a copy of
That
it.
is done.
Joyce, can you send an electronic copy of everyone for that contract?
The blue collar, I was informed last Friday afternoon that there were still a few items we thought we were done, and we sent them what we thought was completed contract, but they would like to me to clarify a few items, so that is not done.
Okay.
I will be getting dates meeting shortly.
Okay, let me know.
Excuse me, Dan, did you say you were going to do this? Or
We're
am I
going to draft a
just-
resolution.
I just-
I'll draft a resolution.
You're going to draft the
I will.
resolution? Okay.
Yep, I'll do that.
Okay. So we'll have the white
White
collar.
collar will definitely be next
Will be on the
week.
agreement.
Blue collar looks like the other.
It's Wednesday, you know, the meeting next week.
I'm National Night Out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my birthday.
Ah, okay, all right. All right. Refund on a tax payment that was made twice, we'll do that at the next meeting. Refund of construction fees.
Solar panels and something that
Okay,
apparently was never done. I have no
Okay.
idea. That tank, oil tank.
an oil tank. Okay, so we'll refund that. And then a thank you note from the Ty family. Everyone does know. Did anybody make it to the funeral? I was not able to make it there. We did send condolences. All right, so we'll go around the room. So let's go to Ms. Passio. You have anything for tonight?
Let's see, public events, because we all know National Night Out is on Tuesday. What time is it starting? It always started like 6:30, is it?
6 to 9.
It is 6 to 9? Okay, good, all right, 6 to 9 at the Harry Williams. So as a member of the Green Team is going to have a lot going on. We're going to have prizes and giveaways and things for all of us to do. Also, we're going to be giving away a rain barrel. Who has the rain barrel?
I have the rain barrel.
You have the rain barrel?
Yeah.
Is anything happening with that?
No, Ken's away.
Ken's
on
away.
vacation, yeah. So I'll get that back to Harry. But I was going to ask the mayor, there was a few things logos we want to put on the barrel. Can you print those for
Sure.
me or something? I'll get them to you.
Yeah, not a
All
problem.
right, great, thank you.
Green Team and sustainability as well, because it is coming from the Green Team. Okay. Also coming up, I've been getting a lot of phone calls from me. Everybody wants to know when the town-wide yard sale. That will be on Saturday.
Not me.
That's on Saturday in September 28th from 8 a.m. to 2. There's no registration fee, and the rain date will be Sunday, September 29th. You do not have to register, so please don't panic. Just put your wares outside and have fun doing it. And please remember to, whatever you don't sell, please put it back where we can't see it, and then you can put it home on trash day or give it to Goodwill or whatever you want to do. And let me think what else I had written here. I had a couple of things. I think that's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Ranieri?
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
I'm kind of scattered with a bunch of different things. I'm between departments. I'm taking over finance as of today. Look forward to working with Jim again.
Yeah,
After you sign the resolution.
Tuesday.
So no more public works. Any public work challenges will be on my group. There's a lot going on.
Let's get to Wednesday night.
Public Works is still catching up from the storm we had, catching up with the cleaning the storm grates, fallen trees. I know we've got some people here possibly for the flood situation. devastating. You know, it's never been like this before, and we'll be talking about that, I'm sure. The art mural, I'm part of the Reimagine Runnemede group, and our first mural is completed. If you haven't already seen it, drive by it or walk over to it. It's across the street from Marino's and pretty much where we are. We're going to have an unveiling of that. We haven't gotten a date yet, but we're going to try to put a little festival together and also have the unveiling of our first art mural. Patty already mentioned the Green Fair. It is a good time. Come on out and say hello to the Green team. That's about it, really. I'm going to leave it there. Eleanor sent me an advertisement to the electric car show this Thursday from 1:30 to 3:30 or something like that. In Cherry Hill, it is?
It's at the boathouse.
At the boathouse. I'm going to try and make it. We will be getting a charging station in here eventually to charge the electric cars. I know my next vehicle is going to be an electric vehicle, and I'm looking forward to helping take this town to the next step and get a little greener. I'm going to stop there. The rest is progress.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm going to hand down Ms. Kelly, so it's on record.
Freddie called me this morning, and he said that the squad was in a very small accident. Tractor trailer was making a turn and took off the bottom step on the cab. So it'll be out of service, but it shouldn't be for a long period of time. The claim has been put in, and everything will be paid for by the insurance company, so that's the story on the squad. And I'll rely on my report at council.
Okay. Eleanor, are we getting the other squad back in the meantime?
The other squad is in service
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
We always have backup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I think what Mr. Longstein was saying is the old machine, the old fire truck had to come back.
No.
So we have the
If we
two,
need it, we can.
we have 3
get it.
vehicles.
But we have the new squad is out of service, the old squad is in service.
Is in service, okay.
We're good.
We'll go right around the table.
All right.
Might as well to-
Thank you, Ryan.
We only have one microphone.
It's good to be back. So my primary item was already given on the blue and white collar employment agreements. With Cali Court, I did at 3:30 this afternoon receive a 122-page title report that I need to sort through to figure out what our next steps are. So Mayor, once I do that, I will be calling you. And the rest for now is progress. I'll see you next week on Wednesday. On Wednesday.
Can I give you this to give to Ladder to a code book?
No.
The inserts, no?
Nope. Will not be accepting that. So, yes, that's fine. So, and the rest is progress.
Okay. Do you want to let him? You want to go?
Mr. Bayshore in for Mr. Rock. So we submitted a written report. Just want to highlight a few things. One, we had the redevelopment committee meeting, our first meeting on that subject. If everyone recalls, the Black Forest Pike Corridor went through the planning board process and also adopted by ordinance by the town, by this body, that it is in an area in need of redevelopment. Next step is actually coming up with a redevelopment plan that can be put there and actually puts that overlay zoning in place. So the first kickoff meeting was today. We're going to meet every month, pretty much this day every month, the last Tuesday of the month. And our goal is to have a redevelopment plan done, ready for consistency review with the master plan by the planning board and adoption by mayor and council by the end of the year. Also, as part of that, we're going to use the same committee also to do some of the implementing ordinances that were suggested as part of the master plan. Again, hopefully have all that stuff by the end of the year. Just 2 items from our written report that we submitted. One, the fiscal year 2020 application was submitted by the 19th for North and South Rowand Avenue Phase 2 and North and South Highland Avenue. According to the state's press release, they're supposedly going to make announcements in November. They have not made announcements when the funds are going to be available, but these announcements are supposedly going to come down in November. So if they accelerate the process, that would be good for all the municipalities. You could do your design during the winter and be out as early as possible in the year, late winter and in the early spring, actually getting the procurement. So we're not getting the notice, we're getting the funding in middle spring, and everybody in the world is trying to get their roads done in the middle of the summer. So hopefully that'll help everyone with pricing. The second one is the 2019 road program. The design, plan specs, bid documents, et cetera, all signed and sealed. They've been submitted up to DOT, where they have to review and provide concurrence before we publicly bid. That was actually about a week and a half ago that we put them up with the DOT. We're hoping to hear back anytime, hopefully within a week or so we'll get publicly advertised. With that, I'll rely on the rest of my written report.
Any questions? Okay. Jim, Mr. Gurley?
If you want an update on Shropshire, I spoke with Nathan Mosley of Shropshire approximately a week and a half ago. This is for the traffic signals. I asked him to update the report based on our meeting, because I would like for all of us to review, specifically me to review the report before he has the informal with DOT, because I want to be very, very specific of what we asked for, because he is changing what was brought to us. We tailored it very specific from our last engineering meeting. We want this, and I want to make sure the report reflects that. So what he's leaving with the DOT as part of that informal meeting is exactly what we were expressing. I will follow up and make a note to see where that is on that revision.
Thanks.
One more question. I did get a phone call a while ago from PSE&G about the curb and sidewalk
Yes.
solution. Did you meet with them that day?
I spoke with Addie. I can give an update with that. So the PSE&G, this is the sidewalks down by their new substation. It's a three-part process. One was PSE&G doing their site improvements. Second part was Camden County with their guide rail installation. And the third part of it was the borough coordinating it and also doing the inlet. The inlet, we already know what we're doing. We are CES, Consulting Engineering Services, is the county's engineer for the guide rails. They have not completed their final designs yet. So we cannot have PSEG install anything until we know exactly where the county guide rails are in relationship to the edge of the road. So as probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I was on the phone with PSEG, and I know Mark was coordinating with, before he left for his vacation, with Camden County Engineer Kevin Baskin and CES.
So we'll get enough heads up.
Yep.
Whatever we have to
Yep.
do.
Yes.
You think it's going to be this year though, right?
It should be this year. Again, Camden County is doing their guide rail installation as part of a federal funding program. All of their plans have to be specifically approved by the federal funding agency besides local DOT, like our plans are up with DOT. So they're working as hard as they can to finalize what they're doing, but they're most likely a spring build in terms of the project. I just want to point out, none of this is holding up PSEG from upgrading their substation. But of course, they just want to get everything done and button everything up. But we have been coordinating, and if there's any roadblocks or impediments, I'll let everybody know. But we're kind of held with what Camden County is doing, and they're held to their federal guidelines, because that's who's paying for the improvements.
I knew she called you and I did hear that you spoke.
Yep, and I believe we responded back to Addie that that's exactly where it is that we're coordinating with the county. So,
And as it so happens, the gas work, whatever they're doing on Eastham Road right now, all that equipment stored behind my house on Deluxe Bakery, the field behind Deluxe Bakery. The residents are asking how long that equipment's going to be there.
Harry, do you know you authorized that, correct?
To the middle of October.
Middle of October?
Yeah.
And we authorized that, and what are we getting out of that? You know, we just helping them out.
They're removing the old poppy court.
Can
And
you
it's
take care of that?
take care of all the asphalt.
And all that asphalt, of course. What about the lines that are up there?
We still need to, there's one electric wire, PSEG has to come in, certify that it's done, and they might actually, the poles might be there as full poles.
They have the full poles.
Yes, if they got the tags on. Two of them have tags on, but we don't know if they was old poles put in.
Can we put them somewhere else?
or find some new facts. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, they're doing that. What's going to happen with the field eventually? Do we know, or what are we planning to do?
I think it's our decision what we want to do back there. I think once the asphalt's out and the lights are out, it's something we can start talking about. I don't know. I mean, it was used for a while, wasn't it? Wasn't soccer? Practicing
Soccer
down
was there, yes, and,
Is there going to be fall soccer?
yeah, and flag football was
Was it going to
there.
affect fall soccer? Is there any practicing down there?
No, they don't use it right now.
And then the flag football won't go there anymore, right?
No, they don't.
Everyone left.
or Glendor or something like that.
Okay,
All right, well, that answers that question.
okay, thank you.
Can I ask you a question regarding we got another request about the herbicide along the railroad tracks?
Yes.
And I forwarded that to you. I don't know if you talked to Harry about it yet as to.
Harry has a different
Tell me
opinion.
why it shouldn't be done.
So I'll bring it up.
Well, tell Harry, because Harry thinks that obviously a lot of the residents, there's a problem back there because there's a lot of overgrown growth.
So PSEG is required to maintain their lines and any growth under their lines. Unless they have specific approval by a municipality, whoever owns the ground under their lines, to use an herbicide, they have to manually cut. So they have to manually trim. I have experience where we gave, as a municipality has given permission to use an herbicide, and it was just completely broadcast, and they killed everything within the swath. So this is right on the bike trail. So if you get permission to use an herbicide, they can do it completely all in the area and all the greenery, grass, any of the greenery on each side, right, either the side of the trail could be completely killed down to the root.
As opposed to coming in with machinery and
Correct,
down.
correct.
Do you want to talk to them, Harry, or?
I actually have an email out to the guy to actually meet him on site. His letter of it is stating that he's only going after the woody products and so forth, so that in the underbrush to grow back the 3-foot high stuff. That's what they're looking for. They did this down in Gloucester Township. I have a call into Kevin Bertrand, asked him how that went 2 years ago down along their bike path. Because evidently they did a half-mile stretch down there. Same reason in the regrowth afterwards.
The material, and again, if they're changing, that's fine, and, you know,
And everything-
now we will go together. But the material that they asked for permission was a broad kill. So it killed.
Why would we be using that when we were promoting as a green team?
No, we
Yeah, I mean-
did
He said
not.
no.
I
He said
know,
no.
I know,
No, we-
I know, but I'm just
My
saying.
recommendation to.
But Harry's point is there is complaints from residents, and once again, we're trying to maintain the bike path and.
My recommendation
We can
was,
maintain
based
it
on
without
what they asked to
pesticides.
spray, absolutely not. If they can now change it a little bit, but again, if they don't do it with chemical, which is easy, they have to do it manual. So they still have to maintain their line. So they
Let's at
have-
least meet with them before we do anything.
Yeah. But again, I would not want to see a wholesale for 2 reasons. One, it'll look horrible.
We've already told
Right,
them.
and number 2, if you remove that vegetation, there are steep slopes back there, as you well know, we already had drainage problems for other heavy storms. If you remove that, you are going to have wholesale failures of the slopes. So, and Harry, can you circle me into your coordination with that? Because I would like to hear that also, just my own benefit for other towns, to see if there's options out there. Okay.
It's the residents complaining about the growth going over top of their fences, right?
It's mainly under the lines, I believe, that PSEG does.
Well, he cuts,
Same comments, no?
you cut under the lines mostly, right? I mean, you cut.
We cut back the path, but it's still growing high, and they want to come down. They don't want anything over 3 foot.
Really?
Yeah, that's their whole philosophy. They don't want anything in their cartway above 3 foot. Because now with it, I guess it's thrown off they're using drone technology now for monitoring the lines.
Let them
That's how
cut
they're
it.
doing
Let them
it.
cut it.
Yeah.
What's 3 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cut it.
Well, we already told him no.
Yeah, throw them on the record for now, and we'll see.
Harry pushed back because he thought that there was.
Harry and I will meet with them and see if there's something, but again, we want to make sure that we don't have this, brown and yellow swath of no vegetation.
Kills everything.
That's also going
There goes our
to lead,
ecosystem.
that's going to lead to more costs for us.
Agent Orange type stuff.
Well, the beauty of the bike path is also nature as you walk over.
Okay. All right, Jim, I think you done now,
Good,
Steve?
Jim.
Everybody done?
Is everybody done with Steve? Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Now that the bond ordinances have been approved, I'll start doing some housekeeping related to those ordinances and get ready for the note sale on August 28th and the closing on September 4th. Today, we received our tax rate, which is good news. We can get out tax bills and have some funds coming in. We're waiting for the audit, the 2018 audit to be completed. Right now, what's happening is the state of New Jersey is working on getting our actuarial services together with what's called a GASB 75. They haven't received that yet. There's an extension of 45 days from the time that they do receive that.
Once that's done, I know we're with Mike and Evan. The audit's pretty much done.
So all the towns, no one's done that.
Right. I asked if we could accelerate it a little bit, have our exit conference. They would rather wait until everything is in. So we're waiting. And I'm going to continue our general ledger work, some pro forma entries that are a result of posting the budget, different entries regarding the general ledger at this time, and continue doing the budget work, preparing for the 2020 budget.
Okay. All right, thank you. Only one note of that on the bond. We did just let everybody know, council, Harry and I thought about this excavator that we all agreed that we were going to buy. Right now, the high school has basically loaned us theirs. So we found out that they don't use it nearly as much as we might be able to use it. So there might be an opportunity for us to work something out where instead of maybe buying an excavator, we use that $40,000 to do something else. Now, that might entail, changing the bond, changing this ordinance or buying some other piece of equipment in lieu of the excavator. But I want to let everybody know that, and I think Harry, we're sort of in agreement. We're going to try to use that excavator immediately to do the Crescent Avenue project, right? We agreed that we could get that done with that machine. It's a little machine, but I think, I think the idea was not to disturb as much property up when you're digging. That was the whole idea, instead of bringing the backhoe and sinking and tearing everything up. So Steve, one of the things we did talk about was extending Crescent Avenue stormwater from that inlet all the way to the outfall, doubling the size of it. And so Harry thought with this excavator we could do it. The school has loaned us theirs, so maybe it'd be a good opportunity to try it.
So it's a little smaller than a backhoe?
Yeah, it's a mid-size.
It's like a little bit bottom.
Yeah, it's not attached. There's a 26 excavator.
Yeah, I got a picture of it. And then, so I saw it one day at the Public Works facility and said, isn't that what we're buying?
Yeah.
So it's down there now. Yeah, yes, sir.
That's the one you did the ditch with.
Okay, so that would be the only thing that we might make a change on that bond, but that wouldn't affect anything, if we don't spend the money right away or we buy something similar. Okay, Mr. Wozon, do you want to go next?
Sure, speaking about storm drains and so forth, we have 9th Avenue repair still going, we got the material in for that, to replace that. Green Acres, the path going back, we replace that drain there. West 6th Avenue, at the far end of the dead-end street, there's a catch basin that was covered over. On what we had in Armac and so forth, was it stopped at the fence, but not 50 feet past, there was another catch basin. So that was unearthed. With that, the casting is old and inadequate. We purchased a new casting. That has to be reset. We're actually hoping to mobilize tomorrow to reset that casting.
Is the inlet okay, or do you have to?
Yeah, the inlet's fine. It's just the top part was.
Is it concrete or block, or what is it?
No, it's actually a formed concrete bolt that's tying into it from the state project.
Well, that's pretty new.
Casting on it. Okay, so with that, we purchased a double lead to put over top of it, 6-inch reveal, so because it's actually 12 inches down. So we're actually going to raise it up a little bit to divert the water into a little bit more to stop the flooding. So that will help assist on that location. 3rd Avenue, Detmar, Forest Avenue, pump station surveys were done. Worked with Mark before he went away, wait for him to come back.
We're going to come back to Steve on 2 issues, since
Two issues on
two things just came up.
Chestnut Avenue, that's being scheduled with the surveyors to come out to do the limits of Chestnut Avenue for the roadway there. The insurance claim has been processed totally with everything. All the quotes came in, everything was provided to the insurance company. I'm waiting to hear back for finalization on everything from the claim that's going on our damaged properties.
When are they coming to take all that stuff? They give you a date?
Still waiting for those to hear about the salvage company coming in. So that's been arranged that way. Chipper was down last week. Evidently with all the stuff, the belts were hard to find for it. We burned up the belts on it with chipping. With that, it was unbelievable to get the belts for it. dealing with Cherry Valley, Napa, and so forth like that. Everybody, all the machines, everybody must have burned them up at the same time with the storm. So we just got the belts back, got our machine back up and running. The guys have been doing a heck of a job picking it up by hand. But we'll have the chipper out again tomorrow and continue with all these storms with the chipper. Do need to, I don't know if it's going to be Public Works Committee, well, actually, probably the Engineering Committee. As soon as we get this finalized, the Schisler Avenue project coming in, Schisler and Walters, we've got 3 trees need to look at, make sure the committee's okay with the removal of the trees because of the project, because it's blowing out the curbs and so forth, and there's no way of putting the steel plate or anything. Mark and I have already met out there.
Well, you guys look at it and make a determination. We just got to, we talked about it before, we got to replace these trees that we keep taking down. We got to, do something about this.
Yeah. Maybe just want to make sure everybody's,
That's what we got to do.
just want to make sure.
But maybe not in the same spot. Like I said, we got the property owner, maybe agree to put it on their property if it's causing a problem.
But most of the trees that probably are overgrowing is because of the species. There's a lot of trees that can be chosen. We work along with Harry and come up with recommendations. We have a lot of street trees that we have coordinated with a lot of utility companies that,
Well, let's start replacing these, because like you said before.
We'll work.
Yeah, we already got a list from the Audubon Society.
Okay.
So we got 3 trees.
Okay, that shade tree.
So with that, we're good. It's just replacement, but just making sure for this project that the committee's on board with the trees that have to be removed.
They want that, we'll pull them out.
Yeah. Harry,
Look at it.
status of the street sweeper.
Street sweeper, as of Thursday of last week, the metal has been removed out of the chute that was corroded and so forth. It was all cut out and they started fabrication on it this week. So with that, we're still looking at 1 or 2 weeks for fabrication for it to be finalized for us to get back. It's been a long process.
Is it ready to roll after that?
Once we get it back, it's going to be ready to roll.
So hopefully another 2
Maybe a
weeks.
month?
Yeah,
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. I saw a picture
We
of it.
barely need.
I know, we
Okay,
need it.
and one other thing, the banner for the yard sale, is that one of the things that we're doing, or is it?
That was in the main building, so that wasn't that.
Oh, okay, so we can put that up, okay, great.
Harry, on that 39, remember 39 North Reed, there was a fence that you were going to put up. Did that ever get up where the golf gully is?
No, with the budget and so forth and all the other projects and the storms and so forth like that, we just actually got the quote for the material to order the fence in. That was just submitted, I do believe yesterday.
Okay.
So then for there, we'll be ordering the fence and we'll be getting it, filling it in on the projects as we can. make
We
out.
have some money in that bond that was for fencing.
Yeah,
You remember, I think it was $15,000 or something
so,
like that.
so it'll get done.
Yeah. So just to jump back to Mr. Mountbatten, Mr. Bach, the mapping was something that we've obviously keep running into. How are we doing with that first set of mapping? And then we have to give you,
Actually, is just waiting for Mark's final review. It was redlined before he left, it went away, so.
and this will be digital, this will be something that can be reproduced and updated easily?
Yeah, so everybody can have it on the phone.
Okay.
You can have it on the phone, iPad, tablets, all that stuff.
Does it identify the areas that we're having these easement problems and things like that? Is it, or that's not part of this?
It identifies what your parcel mapping is right now.
Okay.
So it doesn't identify any problems, but it just locates your existing utilities in terms of sanitary for the phase 1 in where they're located in relationship to your property lines.
And what do you need for the phase 2 for the stormwater? Do you need
We're finishing phase 1. Once we finish phase 1, we're rolling to phase 2.
Are we okay with that, Jim, the financing wise? Is that part of our bond then, to finish the phase 2 with that mapping?
So we just have to coordinate with Mark comes back with Harry, hand them off, give you all the PDFs, and go on to the next one.
Okay.
It answers the question while we got Harry's attention.
And this is Saturday.
Everybody's,
Sanitary first and stormwater was second.
have a little quiet, a little quiet for a second. All right, listen, anybody hear anything?
What?
You hear that light? That's a very loud light. Can we get that on the schedule and look at that light? It's very loud.
Oh, really? I could hear it.
Did you hear it?
I hear it.
It's annoying.
Really? Put that on the list, after all the stormwater stuff. Get
Well, it's
that
making a
on.
lot of noise. I'm figuring, like, whoa, it could be dangerous. I don't know. But it's right above Joyce. You know, probably wouldn't have the Joyce.
Did you want to talk at all about the surveys that we got done? You want to say anything at this point now, so people are aware? Remember you said you knew about Chestnut, you knew about Denmark, you knew about...
There was a question on whether the property, the pump station, which pump stations in off of 3rd Avenue?
3rd Avenue.
Yeah.
What do we call it? They call it Denmark or we call it F?
We call it third, it's, well, they call it, that is F.
It is F.
Right, so pump station F, which is right off Third. So there's some concern that that was, you know, where the property line is and everything else. It's actually constructed in a right-of-way, which is a drainage easement right-of-way, but it's actually represented on the tax map and all ownership that it's a right-of-way. So it's not anybody else's property, it's borough's right-of-way.
So we can put a fence around it, we just gotta go out and decide where we're gonna put it.
Just, that's really sort of an essence of our property
So
line.
we have a gentleman here tonight, and I guess we'll take a look at this survey
Yeah.
before you leave. So we did get the survey done.
I have my survey,
You have yours too?
the original one, and it states,
Well, hold on, we don't have a public portion, but I can let you come up
Yeah,
right
when you
now.
do a public portion, then we'll go with
Well,
that.
we'll go over this again, because you brought it, that's great. Because that was something we were trying to resolve. And with Chestnut Avenue, you didn't have anything for Chestnut at this
I
point.
still have a survey for Chestnut, which Harry has also.
Or you don't got Forest.
I'm sorry.
Forest. Chestnut Avenue.
I don't think you did Chestnut yet.
Forest, Chestnut is in the queue. That's the difference one.
Yeah, see Forest, because that's something else we want to discuss.
And I just want to point out what the difference between a right-of-way, all right? So a right-of-way is a glorified easement. So everybody technically, you know, since we need time, owns the center of the roadway for all the properties. But the borough or a county or a state has right-of-way over that property. So that's why a lot of deeds and everything else written back in the day were actually written to the center line of properties and then they accepted out the right-of-ways. Most of the time you see deeds, they actually do the property lines to the right-of-way and then back again. But we can talk about it.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, so where are we at? Mr. Root, do you want to keep going?
I'm actually going to just say progress because I haven't really done it.
Okay, that's fine. No, Keith's been doing a lot, so don't worry. Keith's been doing quite a bit. We get a lot of emails from Keith.
Yeah, we got quite a few emails today.
All right, Mr. Lowenstein?
I talked with Chris Summerhays over at Nelson Cruz's, the 5th District office, Chief of Staff, about the lake. The lake is, the DEP, according to Chris, will not dredge. All right, so they won't do anything with the lake as far as that. It's not a waterway. It is a retention pond or a little lake. All right, now the DOT will dredge or excavate, as Harry says. That will not be dredged. The technical term is excavate, because it is a retention pond essentially.
So the spoil's coming down, they'll clean them up, because they're saying.
That's
it might be their fault.
what the 5th District is working on to try to get us help to get the DOT to clean the lake out. That's as much progress as we have so far, but I talked to Chris today for about half an hour, and he was explaining things. I talked to Harry beforehand about the proper terminology I'm learning all the time. You know, it's essentially a retention pond, the way it's built, and all the stormwater drain comes down into there, and that was put in by the DOT in 2004, and as a result, the lake has been shrinking. Yeah, it looks like we're going to get a fair amount of help on this. No promises, but it's something I'm going to stay on top of. As far as Parks and Rec, everything looks good around town as far as I'm concerned. I see we haven't had much rain, so the aerator or fountain has been working consistently. It's off sometimes, but that's due to the timer. To let it settle and drop out and then start up again. Even my wife is very happy with the fountain. She drives by it, she gives me little barbs once in a while. The fountain's not working. Listen, it's not Hirsch Lake anymore, it's Hirsch waiting pond right now.
Retention basin.
But we'll get it taken care of.
What about the sprinklers? Do we need to turn any sprinklers on if it starts to get, are we getting any burning up down at Green Acres? I've been down there.
Sprinklers are all.
They've been running? They have been running.
Rain sensors been working, so they've been off for rain sensors, but everything's up and
I
down.
texted Bernie today about our club, you know.
Okay, to make sure that's working.
Yeah, but
Okay.
the rest is progress.
I haven't been down there, I apologize. Thank you. Mr. Fry, oh,
May I ask a question? The school's asking for use of the field from October 19th, or August 19th to the 31st, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Yep.
That's going to interfere with us with our work schedule on cutting the fields.
Well, They're growing real slow right now. And it's gonna be for 2 weeks. I mean, I can try to move them to is there a certain time you wanna hit that, like the big field? They're gonna use the big field. Is there a certain time that they're gonna hit
Are
that?
they gonna be every day or?
Yes, it's every day.
Monday
It's a
through
soccer
Friday,
field.
just for those, that 2 weeks.
Our request in the spring was to cut the fields twice a week.
Yes.
Now that's gonna damper us on maintaining and doing anything.
We can,
So,
I can easily talk with the school and ask them to vacate the field when they come tomorrow. Just stop for a few minutes.
What time are they using
8 to 12.
It's
it?
just-
Usually cut in the morning.
Yeah, it's just for 2 weeks, from the 19th to the 31st of August. And if you want, I can talk with them, just say when the mowers come.
Maybe work with
vacate the
Frank a
field.
little bit, maybe Frank can go down there
Yeah.
and cut the grass. I mean, isn't that the whole idea, to work together?
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
he has a relationship with Frank, right? I mean, Frank is,
Yeah, but all we want, our mowers are set for the height and so forth, they go in it, they like to burn it out.
give him our lawn, give him our lawnmower.
Yeah. I'll call the school and get it worked out, just for that 2 weeks. So, all right.
Okay.
Progress, Joyce.
Steve, progress.
You gotta talk to Mr. Maloney, is the new,
I'll talk to Steve Field, I'll talk to Mr. Field. I'll take care of it.
Mr. Bacon, what's your name now, Mr. Farrell?
Thanks, Mayor. Well, I'm transitioning from finance over back to engineering, and all week long I was calling Mark Basor, and he wasn't getting back to me. Then I find out he was in Italy.
At least he turned the phone off.
He's on his
Yeah.
third week while we're making him.
That's
He's in his third week.
He needs a vacation.
And I talked to Steve. I
Their wife and 2 kids.
Is that the name, right?
Wife and 2 kids.
I had no idea. Please didn't know.
Anyway, I talked to Steve, and he said he was going to go with the status report, and I'm going to go along with the progress.
We're going to have an upcoming engineering meeting where we'll reconvene and review all the active projects.
So you didn't know that Mark was away?
I knew he was going away, but I didn't know he was away.
I didn't think it was 3
It's
weeks
nice
either.
that we know who's going away and when they're going.
No, no,
He made an announcement, but
No, he made it at the-
usually Mark never usually goes more than
That's
1 week.
wonderful.
I thought it was 1
Completed,
week.
completed.
Yeah, but he actually, if you're gonna go, you go.
It was
Good for you, Steve.
Is there anything else before we go to the public?
No.
Okay. Okay, so,
payment of bills.
pay the bills first, sorry about that. You've got to pay the bills. Would someone like to make a motion to pay the monthly bills?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Lobenstein, Mr. Farrell, roll call, please.
Lobenstein and Farrell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We want to get out of
we
here.
got it in.
Roll call?
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri?
Yes.
6
All
ayes.
right, bills should be paid. Okay, this is the good and welfare portion of the meeting. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Please come up. You come up first if you want. You want to hand us your surveys? That helps us out. I'll let Mr., you can give him a copy of that if you,
Name and address?
Is there the,
oh yeah, sorry.
These are copies of the originals, and it also has.
I don't compare these to the ones that were both in the courthouse.
Actually, right here says that it goes all the way down, 30 feet wide, all the way down to the water line.
Okay.
So similar to that.
Just to get you on the record.
What's your name?
Yeah,
Address?
yeah. My name's Joe Romano, live over 801 West 3rd Avenue. Been there since 1990, but my wife's family's been there since the house has been new. And we've always had problems with the easement, property line, I guess that's the east side. That's the east side. The dividing line, there's a chain link fence there now that John Gunn replaced way back. The original fence was a wooden stockade fence that rotted away. That was put up.
So do you
way-
think John put that fence up, or did we put that fence up?
John, well, yeah, John, I guess, recommended,
Oh,
the higher ups, whoever.
oh, John Gunn.
John Gunn.
Oh,
John Gunn.
your neighbor,
Sorry,
John.
sorry,
I'm thinking of
John.
your neighbor, John.
John Gunn, yeah.
Okay.
So, but the property line, I talked to Harry about it.
Well, that's why he ordered the survey, so,
And I've been complaining about it,
for years.
But going way back, when Bev was on council, you remember that? That
Well,
was
here,
about
let me just
8, 10 years ago.
let me just tell you what we're planning on doing, and you can help us out. Now that we have the information, now that we have money in the budget, what we intend to do is meet with you and John down there, and I'm talking about John, your neighbor, and then figure out with Harry how we're gonna put a fence either around that property or all the way down it. I don't think we need to go all the way down it. I thought maybe we would rip up the existing fence that's there, unless you guys want a fence all the way down there. Because what we're looking at is that we, even though we do have the right of way, I don't think we want to fence in that whole area. We only want to fence in the area to protect the pump station, and then fix the parking lot, maybe put some bushes, if we want some bushes. We did that at Lakeview, we put some bushes around there. But I think one of your concerns, you've always said to me, was you thought that it was just overgrown and it's just falling apart.
It's all poison ivy.
Yeah, so we're thinking we go down there and pull it all out.
Well, the thing is, it's a 30-foot easement all the way down. It has a chain link. Well, if it was maintained, is it the borough's property or let's get clear.
It's actually your property.
What, the easement?
No, it's not his
No, no.
property.
It's Sean's?
Right away adjacent to his property.
His survey doesn't go all the way to that edge?
My property goes all the way to the water, and the easement next to me goes all the way to the water. And there's a fence line, my property line, fence line goes all the way back.
There's a little creek back there.
Yeah, to the water.
Yeah.
To the creek.
Do you think the fence should go all the way to the,
Not all the way to the water,
Yeah.
but down to where, at least where my garage is, where
You
the
think-
fence is now. There's an existing.
so you just want to go down to the garage?
Yeah.
Just pull that fence up and replace it?
Yeah, but if they maintain on the other side, on the easement side, if they would maintain that, all that growth wouldn't come through. I have pictures of it. It's-
But now who cuts that grass? Do we cut that grass or John cuts that
Nobody
grass? John, nobody cuts that grass.
See, that's
That's the issue.
I mean, and there's one other thing too. There's a gigantic tree there that about 10 years ago, you and Bev came down because I contacted you about it.
Do we take it
You
down?
came down, no. It's 50 years old tree. I mean, it's probably 15-foot in radius.
Is it dead?
But it's hanging over next to my garage. It's hanging over. So you years ago, it dropped a limb on my shed.
Yeah.
It damaged my shed. I didn't even care. I just wanted you to do something. You sent a guy over and he took like one or two little limbs off, and that was it. But it needs to be addressed. That tree.
Well, how about this? Why don't we
When I'm
meet?
standing on my driveway, I have a driveway that goes back to my garage, like 75 foot.
Yeah.
When you're standing on my driveway near my garage, and I look up, I have pictures of that. That tree is right on top of me.
Is it alive or dead?
It's alive, but it has poison ivy growing all up it. The whole trunk is covered, so I had a tree guy come out. He said that's going to eventually kill that tree. And that's all.
Here's what we're gonna
that's
do.
all-
We wanna meet you and John, Mr. Bayshore, Mr. Bach, and Mr. Wozunk and probably the
John,
committee. Your neighbor, we want him to be part of it. Well, because if we wanna put a fence up, we wanna be considerate to him, whatever
Yeah,
fence.
his property's on the other side of 30 feet, not the easement. His property doesn't come up to my property.
Yeah,
I understand that, but do we put a fence on both sides?
I don't know.
Yeah, so, and the
Because
fence,
if we're supposed to fence in our property,
Okay.
then we have to consider him.
and the fence might not be a chain link fence anymore, maybe it's a solid fence, a solid wood or
Well,
a
that's what I-
vinyl.
that's what
And
I told
then you don't
the
have to
mayor.
worry about maintenance on the other side, because you can't go through it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll talk about all
Well,
that.
that's.
So the plan would be-
Originally it was a
The
wooden
plan would be to
fence.
remove the existing fence, to secure the property, to fix the driveway, and then make, hopefully you and John, satisfied with what we do.
Provide enough security for the operation of the pump.
But we have to be able to get back there with the machine, and then what we do know is there's also a stormwater line that runs from there all the way to the water, do you know that?
Yes, I do know that.
Okay.
Years ago, when my father-in-law, my wife was a little kid, that storm drain actually only ended like 15, 20 feet past the pump house, and the little kids used to play around it. Well, then they dug it up and they extended it all the way back.
Okay.
So that's why.
Because we want to maintain that too, we want to get back and make sure that's okay.
Well, that's part of,
But we got a little money finally, we finally got a little money to do it this year.
well,
Isn't it, the whole thing of easement is that the people can maintain the property and.
So that is another option we
Take
could.
the property but not build on it?
What Mike is saying is, one of the things that Harry and I talked about was only putting a fence around the building, so that you and John, or your neighbor, could go basically 15 feet in and 15 feet in, and then you guys could utilize that land. The only thing we would want is access to it. We would want, if that pipe ever broke, we would have to be able to get back there and dig that pipe up. But that would mean that you cutting the grass and you maintaining it.
it's a pipe.
See, he's saying it's an easement, he's
Yeah.
saying, and both these guys say that we own this piece of land. Why are you guys saying that we don't own this piece of land?
And it's an easement, owning of the
Let me,
property.
do you see where the easement goes? See how 30
Yeah.
feet wide, all the way back?
I thought we owned it too. I thought.
Let me ask you,
I'm-
see the engineer?
Yes,
Let me
he's the
ask you
lawyer,
a
he's the
question.
engineer, he's the.
I noticed there's a stake now with a pink flag.
Yeah, there's two property corners of that. There's two property.
But that's not staked where you're thinking where it ends, the property.
No, that's.
It's just a line.
That's just the line,
That's
from
just
the
a line.
corner, from the corner.
dividing line.
Yeah.
Our fence is 7 inches on your property, we just found out.
Is it really?
Yeah. I understand.
Right, built it.
I just think something's a fence, so all this stuff. I
I mean,
mean,
it happens more often than you think.
My suggestion, because you have a major store line there, also you're gonna have an access drive, if your access drive takes a pump house.
look right, Harry?
You wanna maintain that 30 foot.
So you think we should fence both sides?
Yes, that's yours. That's what we need for operational. If not now, it may be in the future.
But we can make a deal with John to keep it open on that side, because he does maintain that side
So,
very
but
well.
I think the best
I
thing
guess
is to
if
meet
you
out.
give them the option of like using, obviously using it.
Yeah, but see,
You'd rather see it fenced, but John, I think would rather see it open.
Well, the problem is, John planted trees there. So now, even if you guys wanted to mow that lawn against the fence on that side, you can't even get in there.
Well, let's get there one
There's,
second.
that's fine, if you planted trees, he wants it to look good from where he's looking, but
We have
you
your,
can't be maintained now.
could you just give Joyce your phone number, and then this way we'll call you after the meeting, and we'll set up a time? Because I think it's the only way to do it. We need 4 or 5 people down there. We have to physically go down.
This survey was prepared on all the deeds that were pulled from the courthouse. I'd like to have everything in front of
Yeah.
us. And then we'll see how we get this resolved.
What about 2 fences going down each side?
Well, but we don't want to be inconsiderate also to, I mean, that might be a solution, but we gotta look at everything. You gotta remember, people have been using the property for 40 years, right? Longer.
Yeah, if we could actually in this room and clean it up, down, maintain it, and then we're
Let's meet in the same, see if we can get everybody where they need to
Okay.
be.
But your understanding is we own that piece of land.
We are using on it based on what I am being told. When we take the easement and the property owner grants the easement.
It's ours, okay.
Yeah, for good, we do that for a lot of good, but we also.
So we can access it. Okay. Okay.
I think the best bet is, like you said, put 2 fences straight all the way back. Then you can take care of your easement.
I know.
And, I mean, it's crazy, the overgrowth. It's all poison ivy, and it's.
I was just down there, it is.
Bobby's been, I
Yeah.
talked to Bobby, he's helping out.
So that grass has been cut, but not cut well enough to keep the overgrowth.
Now, I mean, you need one of those big
We own
machines
one.
to cut brush. You're not gonna cut that with a mower.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have your phone number list. Bob, you have his number? Then we got your number. Because Bob's on engineering now. So
You have my copies?
You said they were.
can we have a copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, do you have a copy of the,
Yeah, give him that other one.
I just want to see what you
Oh.
have.
It's pretty basic.
I mean, does it say it goes all the way back?
Yeah, it's pretty much, so this, we only really did the easement, but that's the pump house.
Right.
And it goes all the way back, it actually goes back in.
Okay, yeah, because I just wanna know.
And actually, your sort of, your edge of your driveway where it's at the 30-foot back sub of what we have, and this I think is, that's the current fence line, which I think is different than what's on your survey. I think your survey picked up an old fence line.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to give him that? You can give him
I'd
that.
rather hold on.
Okay.
Until I,
Okay, let's make sure it's right?
yeah,
Okay.
I know it's right, I just want to make sure we're on the same.
All
page.
right.
Let's meet out in the field.
So one other thing, Harry, I wanted to just see what Harry had to say about the property line going back to, because you were stating that it ended right behind the pump house.
Well, we
That's what
thought,
I was told.
All the information I had before, I got 5 different stories. That's why I asked for the survey and the title search. And that's why we're where we're at, because let's see what's in black and white.
we thought actually you might have owned
Take the
more.
whole process.
And in black and white, it actually goes all the
I
way
know
up.
because, like I said,
Your
my
father.
in-laws have been there since the house was new with my wife. They know where the property line goes.
I wouldn't trust mine.
And one thing, that's what I'm coming out to.
Right now?
I don't think cares.
But I don't know if anybody knows this, but the borough owns 2 small islands in the middle of the big timber creek.
That's great.
Is that the one with the flag?
No, there's 2 small islands, right down, right in that same area. that actually have their own block of lots in the middle of the place.
Okay, block of lots.
I never knew that.
We need to go slowly. I can move that.
Anyway, glad I came and.
I'm with work.
No, you had good timing.
Bob said you have to start showing your face.
But you have very good timing.
Do it in a nice way, I'm trying to, but you don't need to see the pictures, right?
No, we're gonna come down there.
I mean, well,
Yeah. But once again, I want to be considerate to everybody, you know that, so.
Don't come up with a solution.
Sounds good.
All right,
Thank you.
Anyone else wants to speak? These are our regulars, they don't always come up, so.
Hey, how you doing? Steve, Ashley Pacifico,
Ashley.
836 Orchard.
I'm sorry, what is your name?
Steve and Ashley Pacifico, 836 Orchard.
Before you start, I told Mr. Ranieri, so he can vouch for this, I want to at least apologize for being into the weeds with you in that conversation. Mr. Ranieri called me later and explained everything that happened to you guys, which I wasn't aware of when you and I were first calling, because I'm dealing with 15 properties and not putting each one together. So the first thing I want to say is, and I apologize because I think I really got into the weeds in our conversation. I really went all over the place, talking about money and everything and all that.
This might be first, apology.
No, I apologize before. I apologize to you before. No, you don't have to kick me. So, please speak.
Understand that we're first-time homeowners, so we don't know how this stuff works. I mean, this is our first time.
I hope you enjoyed this meeting to hear what we go through.
I'm more anxious than I've ever been in my life. I don't know, you guys talked about the storm drains. I don't know exactly what you meant. I just want to know that my house will be good. That's what happened.
Well, what we talked about just briefly was if you heard us talk about this piece of equipment that the high school was loaning us, we're gonna, further down from your house on Crescent Avenue, we have an easement, another piece of land that the borough owns that has a pipe in it. And one of the things that we came up with was to double the size of that pipe. So hopefully the idea, think of a drain, it's just a bigger drain. Now, it's not like where the water really starts to accumulate up on Oakland. But our thought, what we're starting to do is, this is something we can do in-house quickly with a minimum amount of money, is double the size of this drain. And the whole thought is, hopefully it'll help move some water. The other thing we're looking at is, we now, in our bond, which we did tonight, there was 497,000, I said, and then another 297,000. Some of that money can be used to fix some of this stuff. So the way government works is, this was 2 meetings we had to have. We had to have basically 60 days to have 2 meetings to borrow money, and then we have to wait another 20 days for anybody who wants to appeal to us and say, don't borrow the money. So there's a whole process, and if you heard the engineer, we have to go out for bid. That's getting into the weeds, and I know I get in the weeds a lot with people, but I have to make you understand that it doesn't happen overnight. Miss Kelly over here yells and screams and says, why did we get it done yesterday? And we have to do it. So
Were you affected by?
they were affected very, very
by the
badly.
June storm?
They had to move out
Thursday, Friday.
for 2 weeks. Oh, you're on Orchard?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were on Reed by Miss Kessler. I still don't remember where you are.
She's her name.
Well, who was on Reed that called me? So
All
someone.
right, so, but you were affected during that Thursday, Friday, June storm?
Yeah.
Where, okay.
The water went through their house. They moved out of their house for a 2-week period of time.
836?
And I didn't want to report this because I've reported to all my other towns. That is a very, very unusual storm. That was 4.35 inches of water in 5 hours. That's the equivalent of the same rate of a 500-year storm. No storm sewer is able to keep up with that, at least in all our boroughs. So,
But can I stop you?
yes, please. Yes.
So I've only been in the town for 2 years. A lot of people have been telling me, and I have photographs from the prior owners, that even in, maybe it was, I would have to look at my phone, July of 2013, it didn't get to the houses, but our street has had major flooding. So I know that it was a lot, but not everybody's house flooded. There's got to be a problem, a major problem with our street and the 2 streets behind, I think it's behind us. Is that what?
Well, after 13, Mr. Wozunk ran a camera through that pipe and found out there was a clog. That has helped out a lot, correct? We found that. What we're talking about on Crescent, we are trying to look at this, that these things might happen more often. We hear you. We do think that this stuff's gonna happen more often. We are looking at fixing pipes, fixing inlets. The sinkholes we talked about, right? We talked about sinkholes. We did a project where we did slip lining. If you start to look at all this stuff, you do that. So we are looking to spend money to do this stuff because honestly, we need to protect all these houses. So we do want to do that.
And we can make it better. I just want to point out, because I just want to
No,
make sure.
I know.
That particular,
We can make it better,
It's a
but
nightmare to think that, like, I mean, now every time it rains, we're like.
you shouldn't be every time it rains, but that was a,
that was an
But like
extraordinary.
the weather has been, who knows? I don't want to, oh, well, you know what, that storm, I was calling freaking out because we had flash
That night.
We've had, even before that, we've had tornado warnings because we don't usually have this type of weather.
No,
So I
this is
don't want to
absolutely
wait and
extraordinary.
see. That was $30,000 that we don't have.
And
And
Plus,
it's
Now, you went-
$4 for a permit just to fix our house, drywall, I thought
Yeah.
that was,
well,
and I explained what happened,
yeah.
and it was very.
I understand that. Did you apply with the FEMA though? Are you in our application? You're one of our bigger ones?
I still don't understand what's going on with that either.
I'd like to give you a copy. I wrote Donald Norcross a letter from their council recently, the last couple of days, and I'm requesting, he received the letter, and you can read that. I have copies if council wants to read it. And you're in there, your situation, what happened to you guys, FEMA. Is there any chance, I'm asking for him to take a good look at things for our residents. He represents us, District 1. And I'm asking him to take a good look for you guys and also the town, so we can get the funds to tear these streets apart and get it done and do it right. So we're looking for the funds. We're not wasting any time. I spent a lot of time on that letter. And I also have some plans here that I'm going to share with the borough. Harry and I were talking, the mayor was talking about what we can do in your area. And I want to give you a copy as well. These are 3 ideas that we're working on, and I highlighted how we're going to consider possibly phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and this directly affects you guys. And we're buying the equipment to get started on phase 1. And there's 3 different options we could do. Harry and I talked about it, and one of them is running the pipe straight back to the turnpike to alleviate a large percentage of that water. Another one is a possible retention pond that we talked about on one of those products, the houses that is for sale. And the other one is phase 1 is adding an 18-inch line to take one of the parallel roads, which may be like a fifth of the water, directly off of the existing pipe. That's something that the mayor was talking about, the piece of equipment we got from the school. So we're moving on it. And,
Yeah, I know we keep saying it was unusual and we are looking at it, but I still, don't be nervous every time it rains. And we've done well, actually in the past, since that 2013 storm, ask the neighbors, it's really been a lot better. This was one of the ones, like I said, it was off the charts kind of thing. But most storms, like I said, 99%, we've done so much better. If you ask Jimmy right across the street, I didn't realize you were on Oakland. If you ask him, he'll tell you it used to be worse. His mother-in-law came to every single meeting until we finally figured something out. And here, there was a tree that was blocking something that no one knew for 5 years. No one knew until finally we, looked under the right stone and figured out what was wrong.
And all I was trying to say, Mayor, is we're going to make it better, and the borough constantly is working towards making it better. It's never going to be perfect because you could not afford to have a storm sewer system that can accommodate that storm. But can you move the waterway quicker?
Yes.
Quicker when you have those big
Because I don't understand drains and the underground system and what goes on, but why are there the 3 main streets? No one else, did you even see how high the water was on our street?
I did not.
I was there.
Okay, well, I'll show you. It was probably up to here.
It was higher than that.
I understand.
Yeah.
I had a pickup truck and it came up to the side of the
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, I know that it's unusual, I get that part, and I know you're helping and all that, but why was it so high? Now, I don't know if it has anything to do with, especially where our house is, the street is here.
You are at the lowest point of the street.
And,
Now, I will tell you why it was so dramatic, and actually, I had pretty much the same height in my house. It came right up to the back door of my house, and I live 10 feet elevation higher than here because I live in Haddon Heights, and I've never flooded before, neither did my whole neighborhood. It was the amount of water that fell within that 5 hours, right? Because, 4 inches of water then running down all the streets, and it was in a very condensed period of time.
The pipe you couldn't
And meanwhile, so you have all this water in a very short period of time, and then soon as the rain let off, It drained away very, very quickly. It took everything with it, you know, all the mud, everything else like that. But there was no conveyance, even the natural conveyance of the curves and the hills and everything else, just couldn't keep up with it.
Well, here's the thing. Did you put new floors in?
We did.
What'd you put in?
We got life-proof vinyl floor, so if it happens again, and we let them off.
Good, I'm glad to hear that, because it's a question I get from a lot of the residents. What do I do about my floors? What am I gonna do?
Well, I could,
Like, we couldn't tell you it's not gonna happen again.
It could
But
happen
what we
again.
can do is move forward at a fast pace, because it's never happened before. We knew there was a water issue, it's never gotten into houses like this before. So we're not gonna sit on our laurels. I'm already working on it.
Make it better.
We're not gonna just, when you go away, I'm not gonna forget about it. We're gonna get it done. It's part of what we wanna do. We don't want you to worry.
We are on it.
It's scary, because like honestly, I would just move.
I understand.
Like, I really do, but now
I would too.
I'm gonna have a hard time selling the house because
We're gonna get it
we
done.
have to convey all of these issues, you know what I mean? Like nobody's gonna want it.
We're listening.
But there were,
We
like I said, tonight we did borrow money. We're looking at starting to do this. We're trying to get money from the federal government. We're trying to do as much as we can as
If
a
you read that letter, trying to get help.
to get something done.
trying to say it.
Oh.
The letter I wrote to North Ross. You don't.
Another one, yeah. Well, don't leave. Stay in Runnemede.
You have no idea.
Well, actually, this is the start of it today. He's coming here, us talking about our plan and what's doable. Well, we are gonna start. I don't know how the date, but we're gonna start on that 18-inch upgrade
Yeah.
as soon as we can.
Harry's gonna start digging tomorrow.
Because I don't know, again, you should probably. tell
Take
me-
a ride down. Goes further down the street.
Because that has something to do.
It does.
with that.
Water goes downhill, so we're down at the bottom of the hill trying to make it thicker, so it grabs more water and drains faster.
Moves it out faster.
You
The
know,
biggest problem with areas that flooded and everything before is the water couldn't leave quick enough. And if you can actually open up the pipe and open up the hose, get the water out of that faster, it's not gonna build up higher.
We're trying to get the water further away from you to move faster.
Faster. That's the key on those type of storms.
You can't prevent the storm.
No.
However.
Get it
we can-
drained.
Move the water.
We can
It'll
make
still
it so that
flood.
we're as prepared as possible.
Yes.
And now that we know what happens on that street, we can start to look at what various options we have, and more importantly, what solutions there are. And knowing you guys as well as I have, you will turn over
We've
every
been, since you
stone.
called me,
Yeah.
and since Ms. Kessler's situation, we've been working on it. We've had meetings, Harry and I, the mayor and I.
And I apologize, there's a lot on my brain. A lot.
For an answer.
I'm sure you were mad at me after that. I'm sure you were mad. She was mad for a while. I knew it too.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
We'll stay in touch. And send me an email. My email's public information.
It's on the website.
So I get it, and then I will keep you updated on our progress.
You guys have
Okay?
kids?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so we got a great school district.
Play sports.
Look at that.
We're planning on getting out of here.
There's kids that can succeed. We've had very good success.
New Jersey's second best public school district in the country.
It's the high school.
Triton, I represent the
High school's good.
I represent the high school district.
We have a bell curve. There's a bell curve.
How old
They
are
were
your
named
kids?
the Lighthouse District.
They can shoot.
I got a little time to think about it.
It's a scary world out there.
Yeah, it is.
Apologies.
I'm afraid of this tornado.
I act like I'm old, but there's people are scary.
The negative stuff that you heard about Triton was a long time and several administrations ago.
Hey, I went there and it was,
I'm talking about the thing from like
It's in
5
between.
years ago.
It was near with that.
So, the
All
school
my
life
children,
districts
all
would
my
be-
kids graduated from Triton.
If I may, both my kids went to Volts and Downing and Bingham. My son graduated from Wilder last year, summa cum laude, and my daughter's gonna graduate from LaSalle this year, coming up, and she's gonna be magna cum laude in dietitian and nutrition. The Runnemede school districts are very good. My wife's a school teacher. We never had any problems here with our kids.
It's another PowerPoint. the kids' picture.
The schools are what the kids make.
Well, that's what I was going with, that, as far as like.
But the,
My kid's not gonna be Magna, Luma, and he loves it.
My son's there too. My daughter, full disclosure, my daughter to go to Paul VI, but each kid is different. You evaluate your kids, you evaluate what's good for them.
Baseball.
So, nice to meet you.
Nice.
Now you can picture me with your man.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Anyone else want to speak? All right, Mr. Rahman.
Charlie, come on.
Earl
Lamont, 417 West 3rd Avenue, Emergency Management Coordinator. We met with FEMA on the 19th of the month. There's two sections of FEMA at this report for FEMA. There's a private section and a public section. We met with the public section, the public section. That covers all the damages to our public buildings and all in the town. I asked them about the private sector, which covers our homeowners. They couldn't give me an answer why they haven't had a team in Runnemede yet. I submitted a report of all the damaged properties, including pictures of all the damage inside and outside the homes. They are going to forward it to the private sector.
Team,
right.
Gotcha.
We just got an email this week that all the reports ought to be in by July 19th. They extended it until August 20th, something like that. So that's the only thing I can give you an answer from FEMA. If we didn't, all our reports have been turned in.
I appreciate what you're doing, Charlie.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You done? All right. I know what you want. You come here for, you gotta go 5 years. You gotta, it takes 5 years. So. Is there anyone else in the audience? Seeing no one else, is there a motion to close the public portion?
I make motion to close the.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
Public portion is closed. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Kelly, excuse me, by Ms. Passio, second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we adjourned at 7:13.